Oh, guys, you're not looking at Eric over there. You're looking at Pro as the guest co-host tonight. I'm so excited. I think Eric and I are just trying to really, man, get back to normal life, dude. It's been wild.
I think that's everybody, especially after an event like this.
Well, and the month of Dragon Drive that's gone on in the month of June.
You guys have been going crazy. You guys have been pushing it pretty hard.
Eric's been wild. Well, guys, welcome to episode 112 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show presented by Summit Racing. Tonight, it's going to be a crazy show. We've got Derek Putnam on to talk about Six Summer, which I was at for a couple days, and then Eric spent all week there. And then we're going to cover the winners of East Coast Dragon Drive. We're going to talk about the next July events that are coming up. And then, of course, we're talking about the Circuit 2025. So if you are at the Circuit 2025, hit the comments over there. Tell us what you drove. Tell us how much fun you had. And let's get to this thing. Mr. Fro, let's hit this intro video, and then we're going to come back and introduce ourselves. How about that?
Sounds great.
All right. Well, guys, welcome to episode 112 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show presented by Summit Racing. Like I was saying there, got some folks in here already. Jan Haas, winner of the 11-0 Index at the Circuit 2025. And then Tyler Schultz in here saying, howdy. He is also the owner of Sick Insurance. So if you need insurance for your Dragon Drive car, holler at this dude. 86 C10. They had a ton of fun, man. He come in second in the tailgate shootout and was not supposed to be in that spot. I'll tell you that. That was that he was outgunned the whole way through, but hey, he held his own and got it all done. Well, guys, if you don't know, my name is Mike Narks. I'm the host of this show and the news that happens on Saturday mornings. It is we call it the source of news and entertainment from the Dragon Drive community. I mean, really, it's all we do. It's all we talk about. And my right-hand man, Mr. Eric White, is not here tonight. He's taking care of some family stuff, man. Love you, buddy, and miss you. It's crazy spending so much time together in the month of June and then, not seeing him when I come on the show tonight. So pretty weird, but we got Mr. Fro here, who's kind of become like a stand-in, man. I appreciate you coming on here literally last minute. This happened, 5:30 today. It's now 7 o'clock here. So an hour and a half ago, I asked, can you jump on here? So Fro, introduce yourself. Tell everybody what you got going on over at the Gearhead Perspective Podcast.
I'm Fro. Gearhead Perspective Podcast is me and Doherty and Bo. You might recognize Doherty as the new profile picture for Drag Drive Repeat. He runs a pretty healthy little Nova. Bo is in the process of building a pretty healthy Malibu. I drive this thing. It doesn't go fast. It doesn't do burnouts. I found that out at the circuit this weekend. There was about 30 kids who wanted me to do a burnout, and I just don't think this car will do it.
Yeah, you talk about peer pressure, dude, because you were leaving as literally 11 cars had done insane burnouts down the street. So every car that came by people were just peer pressuring. And Fro's like, it won't do one. It won't do one.
It was a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of photographers out there, and some of those pictures that have come out from that have been really great pictures.
Oh yeah.
And Doherty's probably got about 30 of them of his Nova that he can frame and hang on the wall.
Yeah. And hey, the one thing that's great about having that many photographers is the burnout competition or burnout impromptu setup is that if somebody breaks stuff, man, there's tons of photos of it. Tons of
Yes.
photos. So it's probably a good thing you didn't try and do it. I gave Steven the side eye for Stanley, and he was like, we don't want to tear stuff up. We still got to make it back to Tulsa. So that was during the block party in Galena, Kansas. See, my mom's in here saying hey. Say hello to her, so it's exciting. Well, guys, listen. We talk about peer pressure, and this weekend was full of it with all of our race car friends that were at the circuit 2025. We had a blast. We can't do this without you guys. I don't know if you know that or not. I know I say it every time, but I hope you're listening for the first time right here because it was amazing. It was awesome to have the time during the racer parties, the block party, to just spend some time with people. I know we don't typically get to do that with the Drag and Drive. We look at it a little differently over at the circuit and try and give people a ton of time that they can spend together. So thank you for being a race car friends. Hit the share button as we go in here. Thank you so much to our sponsors for Drag Drive Repeat. We really appreciate you guys. I can't say it enough. Without them, we couldn't do what we do right here. We attend like 12 or 15 events a year. We buy equipment. We do all the stuff we can do. It's because of these guys right here. So as you are shopping for parts, please hit up Summit Racing, Deech Works, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, who saved my butt and got us back on the road for the circuit. J-Wire Solutions, WAF Racing, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Change 3D, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. Yes, if you're trying to spend some money, spend it over there. And Summit being our title sponsor here at the show. Summit Racing Speed Legacy began in 1968 as a one-man startup and is now the world's speed shop with 4 facilities and 200-plus catalog editions. They feel your passion, they save you money, deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. Make sure to download the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. Find them on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram for all your social media stuff. And listen to the On All Cylinders podcast, man. Tons of great content over there. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. You can find everything over at racing.com. And while you're over there, hit that. I usually have that photo right here. It says,
But you can blame me for this.
in T-shirt. No, dude, you didn't have anything to do with slides. They were all me. So hit it up. Find it while you're in the Summit Racing.com. Looking for your next parts to make your car go faster. All right. Let's talk about some Drag Drive Repeat updates. Eric attended 2 week-long Drag and Drive events in the month of June, and then 1 regional event, which was the circuit. So this dude literally worked 7 days in the month. Like, think about how crazy that is. He only worked 7 days. The rest of that time, he spent on you guys, spent on Drag and Drive. Dude's tired. Dude drove 5,700 miles in the month of June and took like 15,000 photos. So start thinking about that. Think about Eric, man. Put him in your thoughts and prayers tonight. He needs it. I'm telling you, that dude's tired. I'm tired. We get there. But one other big update. Yes, we're going to be so excited. Stanley finished the circuit. It was great. It was momentous. Made 2 passes on Sunday. It was just awesome to actually have one of my cars finish a Drag and Drive. It's the first time anything I've owned has finished a Drag and Drive and be racing.
And it's a vehicle with such sentimental value. I mean, that's meaning something to you already.
Well, and the cool thing is, I say this all the time to folks that want to hear it, but my grandfather would approve of what we've done with the truck. Like he would like it that it's fast. He would like that it does burnouts. He would like that it's kind of rowdy and all that stuff. And he would like that we drive it. So I think it's been great. Steven obviously drove it all weekend. He was really nice to it the whole weekend. Didn't do anything that I would have done. And I would have done burnouts all over the place. Luckily, I wasn't driving it. Luckily, he was. So super cool. A lot of photos have come from that. Really appreciate all the support and the likes and comments about the truck. We're going to be putting all of that stuff on the Narcoleptic Customs channel here as we go over the next few days. And I did pull the old motor apart. Dude, there were 3 rods that were bent, or 2 rods that were bent, and then one of the rods was actually like twisted. One of the rods that destroyed the piston was twisted. It the bottom was where it should be, and the top had turned, I don't know, 3 or 4 degrees, but it was enough to where you're like, wow, that thing really put it down. So
what are you doing to that truck when you're not out on these drag and drives? Come on, man.
Well, dude, the drag and drive's what broke it. Like the drag race, I tell people this all the time. Traction hurts stuff. It breaks stuff. Once we had traction at the track, that's where it wasn't ready for that. It was ready for the tires to be blown off all the time and kill tires and stuff. So we got a lot of folks in here saying, Organ Grinder here saying, good job, man. Appreciate that. Azim Sheik in here saying, what's up? Then we got Danny Grubaugh. He is in Memphis, Tennessee right now. So he said, good evening. Jonathan Stone Cypher over here. Uncle Stoney saying, hey, Fro, is it Sunday?
It is not. It is not. You got lucky in the double dose this week.
Yeah, right. So again, appreciate you coming on here. For the folks that are jumping in now, Fro is the one of the co-hosts of the Gearhead Perspective podcast that happens live on Sunday nights. And dude, I love the Facebook Marketplace finds you guys have. It's highly worthwhile to jump over there. Dan Chandler in here saying, hey guys. Jan Haas saying, hell yeah, so cool. And made a pass for Steven. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. You're next to him. I don't know if I got that on film or not. I was trying to capture every time that Steven made a pass in case it blew up again. So Azim Sheik saying round of applause here. Stoney saying finishing, trying something new. Yeah, that was exactly what we were doing. Just had to get down there. And Carl Steamy saying, what's up? Bobby B 918 saying had a blast. And then Hot Rod Hangout, man, thanks again to Brian for making the entire, really like him and Aaron Perry of Gearhead Curios made the Galena block party happen. So appreciate you guys who, I can't say it enough, man. That was a really fun time and has my brain already kicking around how we can do something even cooler for 2026. And then Carl Steamy back in here saying, love you, Narks. Love you too, buddy. All right. Let's jump through this. The Circuit 2025. We're going to talk about the winners and all that stuff here in just a minute. But I just wanted to tell you guys, it was absolutely insane. Like when I say an insane event, it was next level, to be honest. Like it was more than I could ever have thought. It was a record number of cars, record amount of rain during a drag and drive, record money raised, and the second half of the show is all about that. So we got to get rolling here to talk about all the fun stuff. But y'all, the circuit was absolutely crazy. Here's a picture of all the winners. Big shout out to Jesse Fox, who is our official photographer for the event. Come out, took 700 photos. So we're going to be dropping those over the next few days. He's been hanging out here in town at Steven's house. So I've seen him a couple times this week. So appreciate Jesse coming out and doing that, man. I mean, he could have said, I don't have time for you guys, but he didn't. And we really appreciate that a whole lot. So, all right. Yeah, right here. Jonathan said, made Galena greater. That we certainly did. We certainly did. We helped them reseal the road in front of the Mexican restaurant.
Yes, we did. I didn't, but everybody else did.
Yeah, you did. Do you want to tell that story real quick about
which
how
story?
People tried to peer pressure you into doing a burnout?
So when you've got 5 photographers, 6 photographers standing there, every one of those photographers wants a burnout. Every one of those kids wants a burnout. There was probably 15, 20 kids down the side of the road. And if you're pulling out to just head down the road, it's impossible. You all you're doing is answering questions. All you're doing is telling people, no, I don't want to. The hard part is to tell people the truth. And the truth is I built this thing myself. I don't know that it's going to handle it. So I don't want to be the guy who spit out a drive shaft right there in front of the gazebo where everybody was doing the reaction times.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy that takes out the belt sander races with a drive shaft. Nobody wants to be that guy.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, Doherty's on our show as well. Doherty lit him up pretty good. Even his wife lit him up pretty good out there in the middle of Galena. But it was a great thing to hang out and see everybody. You know, the great thing about this event is it puts everybody right there. You can talk to Narks, you can talk to Eric, you can talk to Cliff. Like everybody who's a part of this is out there for that block party. and it was an awesome experience. And I got to take my mom up and down the road.
That's so cool.
Kind of a moment there, because this is my mom's old car. This is my grandpa's old car. And it was one of those things where my mom kind of got a little bit misty-eyed while we were heading down Main Street, because she looked over at me and she said, your grandpa would have absolutely loved this. Oh. And that's one of those moments where it's kind of hard to keep it all together while you're talking about it. So, yeah. So it was a great experience, and I really look forward to the block party next year, hoping to be an even bigger part of it next year. I heard the announcer had a heyday tearing into me since I didn't show up. So at some point, I'm sure we'll get into that tonight.
Yep. Well, I want to talk about something real quick, because Jonathan Stonepepper asked, where was Jungle Fro? I do want to say, I heard he hates kids. That's not true at all. Jungle Fro had other stuff going on, and sadly, Jungle Mike did not hold up my end of the bargain, which was to get out there and do that myself. Dude, I'll be honest, completely forgot. On my way home, I was like, "Oh crap!" Forgot.
My entire outlook on that was you were dealing with weather, you were dealing with trying to organize this event. I wouldn't have expected you to go out there by yourself. And honestly, if you didn't go out there while I was there, I would probably be okay with that too. Yeah. Like, it's a stressful thing. Most people don't understand the logistics of what goes into these events.
Well, speaking of logistics for Dragon Drives, it's like 3 extra levels, because you have the getting everybody to another track, making sure that track is ready. And we're going to talk about that here a little bit, because, man, track readiness, bro, shout out to Mocan Dragway, man. They are just studs, absolute studs. All right, let's talk about some Driven Racing Oil event updates, because I'm trying to get to Derek here in about 13 minutes. So, Driven Racing Oil is the performance engine oil that can do it all. GP1 is the ultimate oil for any race or performance application. Whether launching hard at the drag strip, enduring the extreme heat of off-road and circle track, or pushing the limits in top-fuel drag boats and demo derbies, winning racers choose GP1. Compatible with engines from classic hot rods to cutting-edge race machines, GP1's unique surface cleaning and high zinc formulation ensures superior wear protection. Listen, y'all have heard all that. I just want to go buy Driven Racing Oil. Just do it. Jeff came all the way from Ohio to be at the circuit to talk about Driven Racing Oil with racers, to be there for people. There were so many times where I saw people over asking questions about stuff, and I know him being there helped push people into Driven Racing Oil, because he was able to tell all the stuff. But one more step further, find Driven Racing Oil, drivenracingoil.com, and Driven Racing Oil on all their social sites. But when you're ordering, guys, make sure you use DDR10 for a 10% discount on your entire order. That covers oils, spray wax, all kinds of stuff. They got window cleaners, engine degreasers, and then obviously merch and all that kind of stuff too. So DDR10 for Drag Drive Repeat 10, 10% discount on your entire purchase. So please hit them up. Well, let's talk about some events. Obviously, the circuit happened this last weekend. We're going to talk about it at the second half of the show, but I couldn't not mention it, because East Coast Dragon Drive also had their event this weekend, and I'm excited to have Jason on the show on Saturday morning to talk about their experience up there in the Northeast. This was like literally New Brunswick. You can see there Miramichi, New Brunswick was where they hosted the event, and they had a great time, man. It looks like it was awesome, and for the first year of the event, it looks like they had a huge turnout. But there are 6 events in the month of July, which is a little less than what there was in June. But we've got like Street Week Sweden, which I need an invite to that. I think we need to go next year. That would be awesome. It starts next week, July 6th through 12th at Montauk Park. And then you got All Stars Dragon Drive, which is in Australia, which is like the fastest growing country for Dragon Drives, dude. It's crazy down there. July 10th through 13th, weekend event down there at Willowbank Dragway. Streetcar Challenge, which is another event here in the States. This is down in the south at Baileyton Drag Strip, which is in Baileyton, Alabama, I think. This one here is new. It's July 17th through 20th. This is like 300 or 400 miles, 4 tracks. I'm interested to see how this works because this is one of the few times that we've actually seen a drag strip itself host a drag and drive. So, usually the drag strips are pretty good promoters. So they've been doing great. So if you're on Facebook, look up Streetcar Challenge 2025. And that'll take you over there. That's July 17th through 20th. July 18th through 20th, we're back for the Road Trip Drag Challenge number 2 of the year, back in Australia again. So that's 2 in Australia in 1 month. That's the first time that's really ever happened, which is kind of exciting. And then next up, Miles of Mayhem. This is our next national drag and drive event on the Drag and Drive World Champion Points Series. This one here, Miles of Mayhem, 5th or 6th year for them. These guys are absolutely crushing it. July 20th through 25th. Jesse Fox is trying to work out how he's going to get up there, but he needs some clients. I know he probably would hate me saying this publicly because him and I were having conversations about it. This is a big trip for him. This is a long way. It costs a lot of money for him to get up there and do this. So if you're looking for photo packages and you're in the Miles of Mayhem event, hit him up. Let him know because he wants to come up there and take photos for you, I promise. And then the last event for the month, clear my throat because I got to get ready to go announce at Heads Up Hustle. Ugly Dragway and Mid Michigan Motorplex. This is the only event I like. I literally just go up and talk on the mic the whole time. It's weird. It's very strange. Very strange. I talked on the mic at the circuit one time for about 3 minutes. So this one here, you're going to hear my lovely voice up there the entire time. So I'm kind of excited and ready. This one, I'm probably going to take my camera setup and stuff and my live streaming stuff. And I don't know, maybe set up a camera in the tower is probably the easiest way to do it. That way I don't have to worry about like being connected to the microphone and all that kind of stuff. So should be pretty fun. Again, this is like the 3rd year for Heads Up Hustle. It's really a neat format. 2 days of drag and drive racing at tracks, and then that sets the ladder for a heads up shootout for each class. So pretty cool. I love all the new formats that are coming out.
Well, and the fact that you're seeing this in so many countries, I didn't even realize that Sweden had a drag racing scene.
Oh yeah, dude. Big time. Those guys don't play around with anything they do. The Stockholm Open. Jake House here saying East Coast Drag and Drive was awesome. I left a set of tires on the road in New Brunswick. Boy, that's what I'm talking about. And then GW in here. What's up, buddy? Great to see you this weekend. Thank you for all the work you put into the track there at Tulsa Raceway Park. And then Robert Voss, I still have a drag and drive hangover. I miss my race car friends. Robert Voss, I'm going to need you to stay on the show here for just a little bit. I've got a fun announcement to make here at the end of the circuit winners list for you, sir. So, Heads Up Hustle, that's the last one we're talking about. That gives us 6 events in the month of July, and there were 12 events in the month of June. Absolutely crazy to think there's 18 in 2 months. There are still, from today, today is July 2nd, there are still 26 events left in 2025. How's that make you feel, dude?
That's a lot of events, and I'm glad that I'm not. I'm glad that I'm your temporary co-host and not your permanent co-host, because that's a lot of driving. That's a lot of tallying numbers.
I mean, it's really crazy to me that like when this whole thing started, there were 11 events in 2022. I thought, man, this will be a great part-time gig. This will be fun. I'll be able to do all this stuff. And now there are 50 in the year of 2025. So
I can't imagine trying to keep up with all of those numbers.
It's pretty wild. And that's really, to be honest, that's why we haven't done much with like regional point stuff, is mainly because of events kind of like Heads Up Hustle or Back to the Streets, is because that is the opportunity for promoters to test different formats, right? So if our style of stuff is you need to use averages for the class winners or class standings, and a lot of events are doing heads up stuff, which is really cool. I mean, listen, that's what a lot of people want. They want that heads up. They want that side by side, all that. So it's great to have regional events. I just don't know how I could put all of that together with points and everything like that.
So Has any of the changes to any of these formats changed the way that you've had to keep score on these numbers?
No, because if a national level event doesn't follow the format, then they don't count towards the point series.
Makes sense.
Yep, which is fine on their side. I mean, they're not doing that for the points. They're doing that because they want to host an event. So if you haven't done it yet, dragdriverepeat.com/event list -2025 will get you over to every event that's listed on there and links to them and all that kind of stuff. I think I have some dust in the.
Are you gonna make it through the show?
I don't know, man.
Survive?
I may be glad I sent you notes. And we haven't got to Derek Putnam being on here yet. So, again, thanks to Driven for the help, the support this year. Thank you for being at the circuit. We really appreciate you guys being over there. J-Wire Solutions, my boy Jay Blanchard wasn't at the circuit for the first time in 3 years, and I'll tell you, I was a little sad. But that's the way it goes when you're traveling worldwide and taking some vacation time with your family. But J-Wire Solutions is your expert car and marine wiring solutions expert. J-Wire Solutions can wire and plumb your hot rod, your race car, or your drag and drive car. Plus, they offer products to make your driving experience better, like the blinker module that is a must for all drag and drive cars. This allows your blinker to work on your hot rod just like it does on your daily driver. So through this segment here, we're going to talk about the East Coast Drag and Drive racer results, class winners, and things like that. And again, we're going to have Jason Richardson on this weekend to actually tell us more about the event and kind of go into detail of, how it got started, why he chose that track, all the kind of stuff, all the fun stories that we're not going to get when we just go over the race results here. So if you want to, sir, we'll kind of alternate between each class. Do you have your notes pulled up?
I'm pulling up the notes right now.
Nice. Awesome. So again, the first year for East Coast Drag and Drive to host their event. This is kind of exciting. So they ran quarter mile and eighth mile, and they had 5 classes, which is always a good starting point. If you have broad classes, it makes it very easy for people to sign up. And then as you get too many cars in a class, you can start kind of whittling down or making your rules more, I don't know what you want to call it, tougher, I guess. So DYO quarter mile, which I don't remember their format there, but Jacques Herbert had a 0.024 difference or spread in his DYO setup. Richard Lager had a 0.028, so 4 thousandths of a second back there. And then Philip McAllister with 0.038, taking third place in the DYO quarter mile class.
DYO 8th mile class, you were looking, man, you gave me the hard names. I don't know why you did this to me. Chris, I apologize. Chris Brayhot.
I think so.
0.060 differential in first place. Dylan Bulger in second place with a 0.191 differential. Shane Bulger in third place with a 0.218 differential. I'm certain those two are probably related.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we get that story. I'm hoping it's like father, son, or maybe brothers. That would be awesome.
That would be a fun story.
Because it's pretty close there. I mean, 2/200ths of a second. That's pretty tight.
Yep.
In the 950 index class, you had, how do you say Matieo? IEU. Is that Matthew?
I assume so.
Mateo Cry, CRIY, last name with a 10.410 average on that. And then Brandon McNeil taking second place with a 16.9, ran faster than a 950, so he handed in a 20-second time slip. Those were the only two in that class.
Wow. 1050 index class, you're looking at Frank Vale with a 1075. Remy Hebert with a 1684. Walter Brown with a 1691. Now, this is going off of averages. Remy Hebert broke on day 2. Walter Brown also broke on day 2. There were only 3 in this class.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. That's one thing I do want to talk to Jason about is how many cars were there, all that kind of stuff. We want to get nitty gritty. I want to find out what they broke. What did they break?
Right.
In the 1150 class, Gerald Sawliner, 1152 average on that. So big shout out to him. That's awesome. Terry Gooden, 1169. And then Ivan Crutzen takes third place with 1173.
Longest traveled award looks like it went to Jake House. Again, I'd like to have some details on that. How far did he run?
Right. And then Hard Luck Award went to Walter Brown. Dude, I can't wait to hear that story.
The favorite of all Dragon Drive, the best trailer burnout goes to Vincent Venue, looks like.
Yes, please. That's another. I want video of that one. I don't even
send a
want
video.
story. Yeah. Yeah. And then the fastest overall, Brandon McNeil with an 897 average. So big shout out to him. Congratulations for that. So that is the East Coast Dragon Drive. Again, first year for them to host that event and get all that knocked out. And that is our J-Wire Solutions segment for this week. Let's see what we got here over in the comments. JW saying, I've had a passion for racing my whole life, so what better place than to do that at the drag strip? I agree with that, sir. And then Chris Paget, I thought you were taking a week off. Dude, I wanted to so bad, but I've worked every day. Now, I haven't worked 12 or 14 hours every day, but I've worked a little bit every day. And then got Nick Dillon here saying, what's up, Rob? Josh Rich in here saying, Robert, I have your chair. Yes, I think I left a chair at somebody's camp for a little while, so appreciate you guys for bringing that back. And then Robert Voss, I guess I'll have to come up and see you to get it. Yes, please do that. And then Richard Brewer, the Dirty Panda himself, saying race car friends. And hey, all right. Again, thanks to J-Wire for being a part of all of that. Let's run through the circuit winners here during the Molly Motorsports segment. Trying to get us over here. Sorry, sir.
You're good.
All right, racers and high performance enthusiasts, you better love that Adam from Molly Motorsports drove all the way from North Carolina to be at the circuit 2025. Are you ready to start your next engine build like John Doherty is when he won the drawing for a Power Pack piston kit? If so, there's no better time than now to check out the Molly Motorsports all-in-one Power Pack piston kit. With over 1,200 applications, these kits come complete with pistons, rings, wrist pins, and clips designed to work together. Molly Motorsports Power Pack piston kits take out all the guesswork. No more trying to determine if a piston will need this ring to work with a certain cylinder size. Molly Motorsport did all the engineering so you can get to the part that matters, building a power plant that leads to victory lane. Visit mollymotorsport.com for details. And for all of you podcast listeners, Molly is spelled M-A-H-L-E. All right, so let's run through some circuit winners. Now, these aren't in order. If I have photos of people up here, be glad I do. I was throwing them in. It was late. I worked on other stuff today too. So big shout out to Troy Meek, who took home I think he is actually the first one. Yeah, you can see it here on the right side of the screen. He took home the WAF Racing quickest carbureted car with an 887 average. Dude, that car is so cool too. It's the orange Fastback Mustang. You guys will know it the minute you see it. And then I don't have a picture of the next one if you want to read it there, sir.
One more time.
Yeah, I was saying I don't have a picture of the next winner.
Okay.
The next one up there.
All right.
I'm sure you probably lost your spot in the notes there. I'll hit it for you.
I have lost my spot entirely. Are we starting?
Hey, that's okay.
Quickest nitrous small tire?
That's it.
Quickest nitrous small tire presented by Shanahan. Is it Shahan Performance?
Yeah.
Thank you, Nico Cristoferi.
Yeah, man. Big shout out to average. Nico. Yep. And what was crazy about these trophies is we were like, I don't have that kind of data. Like, I don't have the data of who runs nitrous, who runs small tire. I don't have that stuff in the sheet. So it was like an auction. Okay, who had the quickest carburetor? And people were like, I ran a 1030. And then Troy's like, I ran an 887. Like, come get this thing. Same thing for the quickest small tire. 4-Eyed Performance and Johnny Allen Media gave up the biggest wheelie trophy and $500, dude. So Chuck Connect, the lone motorcyclist, took that one home.
That's a fitting award for a motorcycle right there.
Yeah.
Best bowler, Josh Odom with a score of 209.
Yep, we heard rumors there was a 225, but had no proof. Josh did the right thing and took photos. He knew exactly.
I wish I would have went bowling with you guys.
Oh, I know, man. That'd have been awesome. Scavenger hunt winners, Robert and Tammy Catron. Big shout out to them. Tammy was telling hilarious stories about making Robert turn around and keep going back to get photos, which is exactly what the scavenger hunt was supposed to do. And then Seth and Gabriel Pennington took runner up in that. Man, they worked their butts off. And a big honorable mention to Austin J and his co-pilot, who would have won, but they were about 10 minutes too late getting to the facility. So, that's the way it goes sometimes.
That's the truth. Speaking of coming in late, slowest overall presented by Stone Cipher Racing was Mike Baker with a 1785.
Yeah, slow rig. But he towed a big camper all weekend and had the family with him. So bring it on. Quickest female by Morrow Photography. Miss Danny Odom, Josh's wife, ran a 10.604.
Tailgate shootout. You're looking at David Bell with a 566 and Dustin Cottle with a 574.
Yeah, so super close race for the last one there for sure. 668 index, Mr. Jeff Mass won that one in the Plymouth Valiant. That was probably, I don't know, man. That was the top 3 car for me. Super cool. It's like late model. It's like a 5.7 out of a 90s truck with a turbo on it. And the car just set right, was rusty, and was fast.
Everybody has a favorite regardless of the event.
Yeah.
You versus you. There were 57 cars in you versus you. Tom Taylor came in with 2 perfect matching time slips. How often does that happen?
No, rarely. Very rarely.
Bobby Bell came in with a .001 differential, and Travis Boltman came in third with a .002 differential. That's a tight group right there.
Crazy tight. So I was talking to Tom. He said that he made 7 passes to get that time. Now, obviously, these are run on Sunday, so that's kind of, like you were, you're one day to run all those. Which running 7 passes is still a lot, but it was the first and last pass that he ran that on, which was pretty awesome. The top 11 racers were less than 100th apart.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So DYO stuff, you versus you is what we call that class. It was based just like the SICK events. It does the spread of your quickest and slowest pass. So pretty intense stuff. Next year, we're not going to have that tight of a class because we're going to be racing it 3 days. 12.0 index. Bo Denny won that with a 12.014 average and won a free Rocky Mountain Race Week 12.0 index entry. How cool is that Rocky Mountain gave that to us?
I don't know if everybody understands. Everybody who watches your show understands how much that is, but that's a pretty healthy award right there.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then 11.0 index, Mr. Jan Haas, all the way from Nebraska, drove the truck down. 11.0 index chose to run their class on Saturday and Sunday both once Mocaine got back open. 11.12 average. He also won a free entry into Rocky Mountain Race Week 11.0 index, and he was followed by Braden Taylor with an 11.16 average. So 0.04 of a second separated those guys.
That's a tight race.
Yeah.
All motor small block. You're looking at CJ Phillips coming in first with a 10.69. Ellie Johnson coming in with a 10.86 for second.
Mm-hmm. And then Gasser Hot Rod, this year we combined those classes and combined Power Adder and NA. So it's probably not as fair for the NA guys, but that's the way we did it this year. I will look at a different setup next year. Troy Meek won that one with an 887 average. And then Patrick Melson, our winner from last year, who didn't finish last year, creating a crazy situation where it was a last man standing award for the winner. Patrick Melson did finish this year 10.25 average.
Wow. Quick stick. You're looking at Phil, man. You get me every time with him. Balmaceda with a 10.96. And Malachi Fox coming in second with an 11.11 average.
Yeah. Big shout out to Phil. It's first year for him to attend the circuit. And then Malachi was our winner last year. So they were really duking it out, man. They were trying. All motor big block, David Miller, 931, who sent me a message earlier wanting me to give him a shout out to, or wanting to give a shout out to Steven for helping on the roadside. And then also that dude, he just got down. All motor big block. And then our boy, John Doherty. To take second place in all motor big block.
Always awesome to see the guys do well. Motorcycle class, you're looking at, is it Chuck Connect?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
1127 average.
Yep. And then street race power outer, my favorite class that's out there. This is your 850 boys. Brian Acton made like 6 passes on Sunday. Had really no reason to. We just didn't know where everybody else stood in the class. Brian Acton, 3-peat winner of the class, 864 with a 1 average, and Cody Coots taking second place with an 897, which is actually our quickest second place for that class. We are talking about some stuff to bring out some more 850 hitters for next year already.
Excellent.
Yeah.
668 index. You're looking at Scott Barker with a .025 differential, and you're looking at Josh. Is it Tweehouse?
Your guess is as good as mine. I
I'm
never
go with
heard
that.
the right way to say it, and he was already gone by the time he would have picked up the trophy.
He had a .112 differential coming in second in that class.
Yep, and 668 is an interesting index, and I know people are like, why the heck did you do that? But that was a floating index. If you were watching, we talked about this the last couple of weeks, but those guys actually drew, if they wanted a different number other than 650, they would actually pay $50 to donate to the Youth Services of Tulsa and write the number they wanted on there. And our boy Keaton Maxon, who's one of the people behind that class, paid the $50, wrote 668, and ends up doing it. So ends up his
awesome.
His number was drawn. Yep. Chris Paget, sponsor of the class with Paget Performance, comes out and wins it. Says, "Bring it on, guys! I want some competition." 6075 out of that 8th mile class. Seth Pennington in a 4-door CTSV, 7004 average for him.
Small tire, you had John Ketch coming in first with a 5.789. And then you had Corey Noble in second with a 6.317.
Yep. Corey Noble's a neighbor to you there in Pea Ridge, I think.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. He's been supporting the circuit for a long time. I want to say it was great to see him back out. He now has a 5-inch exhaust dump that comes to his hood, and I'm in lust. It was it's pretty awesome, and that car was super cool. In the unlimited class, Jim Parkinson, 543 with an 8 average, and then Josh Rich in a brand new 21 miles on it whenever he pulled into the facility, 644 average for that. Now, if you guys have not been following for a long time, the circuit for our shirts always chooses the quickest quarter mile and quickest 8th mile cars to feature on the next year's shirt. Well, if you're paying attention to these numbers that just went by, Brian Acton is back on the shirt again, and Jim Parkinson is back on the shirt again with the cars they were on from last year. So we're going to get creative. We're going to have some fun, and I can't wait to see what we do with that. But listen, I'm putting a bounty on those dudes. We're going to figure out some way to put a bounty on them because I don't want them on the shirt the next year. So
final award to talk about tonight.
Hang on. Yeah, hang on. I want to do it. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
I'm going to pull your thunder. So
I think that's the minimal I've screwed up tonight. So I think we're good.
The Spirit of Drag and Drive Award. This is something that's important to everybody for everything. You guys know these style trophies and awards are given at each event, and it goes to someone that embodies the lifestyle, right?
Right.
When the awards came around, I did not have suggestions at that point. Sadly for the circuit, I actually had to. I was blowing past the routes and driving as fast as I could to get to the end stop so people could get their, so we could give as big of a party as we could to each one. So at the end of the event, after the awards, I asked for people to give their suggestions, and several folks came up and several folks messaged me after they were on their way home and thinking about this. So the Spirit of Drag and Drive Award from the Circuit 2025 goes to our boy, Robert Voss, Camp Counselor Bob, who stepped into this role having never camped at a Drag and Drive and absolutely killed it. So I want to say personally thank you to him for all of the help. This Camp Counselor deal did exactly what I was hoping it would, which was basically give the folks that were camping a party. There's a lot of times where the campers just show up at the track and they just go right to bed. There's no gathering of people. There's no conversations and things like that. And Camp Counselor Bob pulled that out of them. He kept people awake longer than they probably should have some nights, and made sure everybody had a good time. So I want to say from me personally, thank you very much. And then from the entire team at Drag Driver Pete and the circuit that was there working, thank you as well. And I hope you enjoy winning this. You and I will get together in the next few weeks, and I'll get this delivered. It's too heavy to ship, and I don't want it to mess it up at all. So, and also big shout out to Rodney Reeves, who built this and brought it up to us from Louisiana. So thank you so much to him for putting such care into something. When you see it, you're gonna absolutely love it. And anyways, round of applause for Camp Counselor Bob from around the room, please.
Robert did a great job of working social media as well, and letting everybody know exactly where they needed to go to stay dry, to stay warm, whatever. I was keeping up with a lot of that on social media as he was posting.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Like he truly got down in the nitty gritty with it. It did exactly what we were wanting him to do. Oh, hey, Josh says it's Twee House.
Twee House. My apologies.
Gotcha. Yep. Sorry, seeing some comments here. I know we were probably going through these pretty quick as we were running through all that stuff, but it's pretty awesome. David Maxon here saying, sounds like 650-ish floating index is here to stay. I would do it. Again, I thought it was a lot of fun. And then Josh Rich, I'll vote Robert in. He went and got me shampoo. That's awesome. So again, thank you so much for everybody that made comments, everybody that was there at the circuit, all that kind of stuff. And then Robert says I'll be in Tulsa in a few weeks, so we'll get together then, buddy. I'm excited. I'll buy you lunch. So pretty cool. I'll put this somewhere that's like on my mantle.
Keep a hold of it for a while, someplace where it looks
small
good
light shining on it, so people driving by see it. It's like a Christmas tree up there. Yeah,
hell yes.
Lowry saying he also brought the party to Waffle House. He certainly did that as well. We had Waffle House quite a bit. All right. In this segment here, we're going to talk with Derek Putnam, who just stepped up to probably go to the bathroom. It's like, dude, I've been sitting here for 30 minutes waiting on you guys to get to me. And now you bring me in. So he'll be back in just a minute when he
This is part of the process. If you've got a guest, you figure this out pretty quick.
Well, and Derek knows I'm a rambler. So Deechworks is our thank you to Molly for driving all the way out from North Carolina. I really appreciate him doing that. They didn't have to do that at all. They could have just sent banners and been fine. But I appreciate them being there. They raised $1,075 with the Power Pack Piston giveaway. Again, John Doherty won that. I appreciate that. $1,000, dude. Like, people bought tickets to win that, and that all that money went to the youth services of Tulsa. So big shout out to Molly. Again, thank you so much for being a part of the program here at Drag Driver Pete and all that stuff that goes on over there. All right. Deechworks, man, let me run through this real quick, and then we're going to bring Derek Putnam on to talk about Six Summer and all the fun that we had there. Deechworks is a leading manufacturer of high-performance fuel system components. The DW product line includes fuel injectors, pumps, modules, fuel rails, regulators, filters, lines, and fittings, plus surge tanks, all engineered to support power levels ranging from 400 to 2,200 horsepower. Since its founding, Deechworks has been committed to delivering quality, innovation, and precision to the automotive performance industry. Every DW product is built to maximize reliability and efficiency, ensuring optimal fueling solutions for racers, tuners, and performance enthusiasts worldwide. With a focus on engineering excellence and industry-leading customer support, Deechworks continues to drive the future of high-performance fueling. And when you're in there, again, purchasing all your products for your stuff that's coming up, grab that code DDR10 for 10% off. All right, we're going to talk about some Six Summer stuff here with Mr. Derek Putnam. Hold on just a second, sir. I want to make you big on the screen because you're important, dude. You're awesome.
I don't think people want to see me big. That's why I sit in a tower.
Whatever, man. Everybody loves seeing you up there in the tower. One of the best announcers I've ever stood in the lanes and listened to, man. I appreciate all the work that you do and all the stuff you do for SICTA Magazine. So
I appreciate that. And I know you guys have talked about it, but kudos, since I just did a little bit of work on the story with the circuit. about the fact that you had to deal with Mother Nature not being your friend not once but twice this year and still managed to power through it. And it leads us into a nice little fact about the fact that the top 3 averages from the circuit this year are going to get sick wild cards for Sick Week 2026. So
I'm so excited.
Yep, that'll get announced probably either later this week or early next week because, as you know, Sick Week has literally become the absolute just like shootout as far as fast stuff goes.
Yeah.
So trying to get people in there is hard. And Tom and Luke came up with that idea and decided to do it. And I think we're giving it away at, I think it's a dozen, if not 13 events this year. And yours is one of them.
Yeah, man, we appreciate that a whole bunch. And I tell you, there's some fast stuff there. Some fast dudes are earning that for sure.
Absolutely. So similar to what you dealt with, not quite as much, though. We had a very eventful 6th summer presented by Motion Raceworks. It was not quite 2 days of rain, but there was definitely a lot of driving in the rain. We heard of some hydroplaning, got some great photos at a lot of different stops. Unfortunately, the rain did bite a couple of people that they had to DNF because of it. But otherwise, it was a pretty solid deal. 344 cars started. I think we ended up with about a 19% attrition rate, a little high compared to what we started with originally, but it wasn't too bad. I think we lost 68. Yep, 19.8%. So
yeah, I think that's becoming the norm, man. You know, like it's I think people are really pushing their cars much harder than they were maybe early on.
It's funny that you bring that up because a lot of the stuff that we saw happen at 6th Summer compared to Sick Week, like last year, for example, at 6th Summer, the first 2 days, the air was sub-zero DA. It was in the 50s. So there were people that were actually running pretty fast, including Brian Goldstone.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, it was warm every single day. You obviously joined us for 2 days, and Eric and his dad joined us for the rest, and it was great seeing him. I know he has to – I don't know how both of you guys are honestly sitting up straight, considering that you had to do 3 events in a row, basically, between – Mega Week, ours, and then the circuit. So
yeah,
I don't know how you do it.
He's like, dude, I don't want to do anything for a little bit. He would have been on the show tonight. He just had other stuff come up, but yeah, we should have taken this week off, to be honest.
Yeah, a little bit of a recap and actually feel like a normal tired person, not a steamrolled over person.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot to talk about here. I mean, some of it has been discussed by you. I know you went over a little bit of it before the circuit last week. You talked about it a little bit on Saturday last week as well. What's to be said? I mean, Brian Goldstone continues to just absolutely body slam people.
It's crazy, dude. Like, listen, when we left Mega Week, that Saturday night, him and I were standing there, and he said to me, to my face, man, I think Drag Week's the next one for me. And then shows up there. Dude, I was like, were you crazy? So
yeah, and it wasn't like he went to puppy kick either. I mean, he had solid competition. I mean, Alex Taylor, Steve Morris, the Deal brothers. There were a lot of people that were there that could run in the 6s and did run in the 6s. So it wasn't like he had an easy go of it. And he did have one day at Tri-State where he didn't make the best run on the first one. I mean, I think it was a 725, but he wanted another all 6 second week and got it and ended up putting together with the lanes closed, the 666 at Tri-State, and ended up getting a pretty solid 664 average. Now, granted, that's a little slower than what he ran last year, but again, we were much warmer this year. So
well, and there's no way they maintenance the car, to where you would have the motor out or anything like that. There's no way they did. So they just came off of, 10 passes plus the whatever they do in the shootout. And it had to be more than that. They had to make 20 something passes that week at Mega Week.
That's true, because they would have had 4 every single day.
Yeah, and then drove 1,300 plus miles, and then drive all the way home, turn around 3 days later, and drive all the way to you guys.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem he had at Tri-State was, but the car wouldn't move off the starting line. I'm assuming it was something either in the rear end of the transmission, but he got it fixed in time. And at one point, it was looking a little like, okay, we might have a swing here. So, I mean, he had a 725, so it would have been hard for Alex or Steve to overcome him. But I was doing some work. I don't think this is exactly accurate, but considering that Brian first started doing drag and drive 15 years ago, this is his 15th year. And he, I believe, now has 15 wins. He only has 3 DNFs.
Wow.
In all of those appearances. One of them was obviously when he crashed his car, and the other one was when he threw a rod out of it at Sick Week this year. So obviously that AMC's got a pretty solid history.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
he's a stud.
Yeah.
Oh man, Rob Sanders here saying the engine did not come out after.
Rob got thrown right into the fire, but thankfully he got what, in my opinion, he deserved. He got a very well-deserved Gear Vendors guitar, which is something that Rick Johnson started doing this year. He started giving the overall #1 average a guitar because he said, I feel like the co-pilot in the car's that quick do just as much work as the driver. And Brian agreed. He said, I'm glad that he's doing it. So
yeah, super cool, man. That's absolutely insane what those guys have done with the event. Tons of cool cars, man. Like obviously 344 cars lends itself to a lot of variety. I'll say that one of my favorites was the 37 sedan or whatever. The
37 coupe from the
the cutback G-body frame with it. Dude, it had long tube headers on it. I want you to picture this. It's got long tube headers that come down like for a G-body, and then they 180'd out of the bottom of the header back up to a turbo that would normally set in the regular spot of a turbo flanged setup there, and then back down the same route and back out the back. It was crazy. I love that thing.
You would think that would generate a heat issue.
Oh yeah, probably. It wasn't fast.
I think that's Riley. Yeah, that's Riley Grabiak's car. He was one of the Grabiaks that came out.
Oh man, crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because the Grabiaks, the Rymars, the Swindalls, I feel like I'm forgetting some. Well, those are just the families, but those are just a couple of the families. And it seems like Six Summer, as you mentioned, definitely has a little more of a variety. Sick Week, it seems like you see a lot more of the same style vehicle. And I don't mean that in a bad way. There's still a good variety. But like, for example, the guy that won Sick Week Freaks this year, Calvin Nelson, was driving a 1980 Pontiac Sunbird, which is basically a Pontiac version of a Monza.
Yes.
But a lot of people have never heard of that. And so when I was describing it every time, and people were still looking at me like, what's a Vega and a Monza? Why are you telling me this?
Yeah, why do we even need it? And it was, the 4200 GM power, the Atlas
Vortec motor,
known for, and turbocharging. That car went low 9s. Did it go at 8?
It ran an 8 on the final day. I'm actually going through my notes now because I had everything in order. He at 907 on the average and an 882 best on day 5.
That's
and
awesome.
I haven't watched the videos that he's put out on it, but supposedly what he did when he built that car, because he built a yellow 5th gen Camaro after the Volvo crash. And he basically stated that he wanted to put something together for similar to the $10,000 that Cletus McFarland did in the Cheap Car Challenge. Obviously, he wasn't entered in that.
Yeah.
But the fact that he managed to throw something like that together and not only completed the week, but did it with a pretty solid average is, that's something to be said.
Yep.
The videos that are out there, the videos that he's put out there, actually go into some pretty good detail about how the car's built and what he did in preparation for that event. It's a good watch if you want to sit down and take the time.
Yeah, he's super, and him and his dad are so like they're engineers by trade, and you can tell. And it's really fun because they for a long time did like the Grassroots Motorsports $2,000 challenge, and that car won one year at that, and I mean ran I think 9s or 10s in the quarter mile on like a $2,000 budget.
Yeah, for the longest time, the Grassroots Motorsports deal was your budget max matched the year. So that was basically what you had to spend. Unfortunately, if I remember correctly, they unfortunately had one of the cars that they were competing with in the Grassroots Motorsports deal stolen, and they couldn't find it. So the other big thing since Fro brought up the whole thing about them building the car, the biggest thing that I would tell you to go and watch at Calvin and Andrew Nelson, that's his dad, who actually ran a supercharged 3rd gen Camaro in Dial Your Own that week during Six Summer, is watch all the footage from their Volvo crash from Sick Week a couple years ago. You look about how well built that car was and how safe that car was. And there are some things that I don't want to go into detail about, but it's one of those things where when you watch it happen and you realize how much preparation him and his dad made in safety's sake, and then what happened still happened, it's like, yeah, it kind of makes you look at safety a little bit different in this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Andrew for a long time struggled with his shoulder. I mean, I'm sure he probably still has some mornings where he's like, "Man, that hurts." But
his vision even got affected. If I'm not
mistaken. Yeah, pretty wild. The photos I have pulled up are just a few that Eric grabbed, but Craig Douglas's car, good Lord Almighty, I love this thing, man.
That is a beautiful car. He actually joined us at Sick at the Rock in April, one of Tom's smaller events that we put together this year, and I had a chance to go over and talk to him. It's an actual Mopar twin turbo setup, like a full tilt. It actually weighs a decent amount. It's a gorgeous example. It's a 70 model. I believe it's called Sassy Grassy Green. And he ran 5.0s in 8th mile competition at Rockingham. And then I think he averaged in the 780, 790s at Six Summer. So he actually ended up finishing top 3 in his class in what ended up being a pretty interesting deal, considering that originally Heavy Metal was pretty much looking like Clark Rosenstengel was going to run away and hide with it again. And then he had transmission problems on day 4. And that put Jesse Nelson at the top. Douglas was second with a 788 average, and a 792 average was Craig Edwards, who has a beautiful Sunset Orange Metallic 2002 Camaro that's been running NMCA True Street and now he's getting into drag and drive stuff. It's a gorgeous car.
Yeah, that car was nice too. How about Mr. Sam?
Mr. Sam,
89. Come on, man, that was so cool.
Dude, if I can have even a quarter of the amount of cool factor and how much he appreciates being able to do what he does at his age of 80, I consider myself set. That guy is so happy to be out there, whether he wins, loses, whatever he runs. You could see it in his smile every single day when he interacts with people. And I think everybody was more excited about that than they were about seeing something, like, say, some record-setting number. That was just insane, considering that truck ran 1130s the year before.
Right? Yeah, they've got it worked out for sure. And, I mean, you're talking about a guy that, goes out there and is just having a blast, man. That was really cool. Cameron Alley, dude, what a show. What a show. Wow.
And there's Calvin Nelson's car on the near side, too. So Cameron Alley, the guy who ended up finally conquering the mountain after 3 years of beating on it, he finally won 6 street race with his dad. They have been doing it with us since we started Six Summer. He's finished second twice. This year, he was one of, I want to say, 3 guys that came in on day number 1 and ran like an 851 something. I think everybody basically just made it to where it was like, okay, we're going to make this a slugfest just to begin with. So basically, he comes in and is in the play. Last day, he goes 851.4 back to back, and you could see that he just parks it at the rear of the staging lanes, like defeated that he can't run quicker. So then he just sits there and kind of watches everybody else kind of pick away at it. And Brian Acton can't run quicker, which is honestly a surprise when you consider Brian's reputation and how well he's done. And Randy Bellahar with the Nitrous 68 Firebird also does a really solid job, and he couldn't run any quicker. So it ended up being where Cameron Alley ended up winning with an 852 average with a 4. Acton was 852.7. Bellahar was 852.9.
That's so crazy.
Yep. Not a strange thing to have happen at Six Summer. You and I have seen it before just last year. Yeah.
What separated, like a thousandth separated second and third last year, or first and second, something like that? It was so tight.
6 10,000 separated first through fourth on day 3 last year. It ended up kind of spanning out a little bit, but I want to say it was close. I think last year it was like 5 or 6 thousandths by the end on one, and I think it was 7 to 8 thousandths on the end by the other. So it was definitely one of those rough.
Yeah.
8 thousandths of a second on one and 9 thousandths of a second on the other. Yep.
That's why I love that class so much. Is those guys are so hardcore. I saw, Jeremy Ortiz in here making comments earlier. Another guy that's just in the middle of that class, just eat up with it. And then I want to talk about the exhibition class, because I think this could be something that could be expanded in other events. right? So everybody kind of, real quick, Jeremy Ortiz here says we are dumb. With the
Wait,
850
hang
class.
on. Says the guy who has won or collected money at 4 straight events, including 2 wins. And yeah, I feel his pain of finishing second 3 tiers in a row. But
I think I want to be that dumb.
Yeah. But back to the $10,000 challenge.
Yeah, and so thinking bigger than just the exhibition class thought of the $10,000 challenge, and kind of, I'm going to say it was a fun for them. You know what I mean? Like it was fun for Cletus and Tom and all those guys for what that was set up with. But I think like because it's not quite an unlimited class, but how do you expand this class? How do you get more people in it, or is it even worth it? Because with more people, it becomes there's so much more brain damage. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was a ton of fun, and obviously being high level YouTubers made it even more fun because people were packing the stands. They were around there and they were cheering everybody on. It was kind of fun to watch.
Well, it's a double-edged sword. I love the idea because I feel like similar to the kind of stuff that I can associate, which is pro dial your own and dial your own. Those are your weekend warriors. Those are the people that don't have as much money in some of their cars. It seems like a lot more people in the stands can identify with them, and that's what brings this class home. The only issue that I see with it is if you tried to do something with it, let's be honest, there were some gray areas, and it's all in fun until you make it a class with a competition. There could be and as we've already seen, there could be no money involved in it. There could be no prize money involved in it, but just knowing that you could win is going to make some people try to find the loopholes in the rules. And then the issue that I think you would run into is how do you realistically keep track of what does somebody spend for $10,000? Because unfortunately, lots of people do have, cheap throwaway parts or stuff they pick up at a swap meet where they're legit, but then other people are exploiting the gray area and maybe they're not doing that. So I don't know. I'm not sure what route you go with it, but it was really cool to watch just how fast people could make cars if you spend the money in the right place. I mean, even Tom's car, he bought that thing on day 2 and it was a 12-second car and he made all the right moves and they worked it from a 1060 car to a 9.0 car by the end of the week. Actually, I think it ran in the 8s on the last day.
I think they're 890s, 891 or 890 with the 7 or something like that. Anyways, and hey, listen, safety. You go making the switch to a big block is for safety reasons.
I don't think I want to put that much.
We're going to run through this motor. I needed a big block.
Well, to be completely fair, I have been told by my engine builder that when you're using a cast block, GM standard block, not a performance one, there is a limitation that you're only going to spray so much through it before it decides it wants to come apart. Fords are that way too. It was
the safety. Yeah,
it was exactly.
I did enjoy Tom's video about that of him picking up the stuff from Schroeder Ends, John Ends. That was a good one. Them kind of walking around talking about parts that they had picked up here and there. That was kind of fun to watch. I enjoyed the heck out of this class. I think it was really fun to see. The cheap car challenge is always a good idea.
No, I agree. I feel like, again, like you said, there's definitely things that you can do. Nice comment by Robert Voss.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see how it works out. I mean, again, you've got 5 or 6 cars now that are built that are within those rules. So I don't know what happens to them at this point. We'll have to see.
And I think you're right. You've got to keep it to a certain group of people that are going to talk all the time. Like somebody that's not within that tight circle, it's going to be really hard for them to get in the middle of that. So here's what I pose to everybody that's watching this. Go out, find you 3 or 4 buddies, and y'all put a cheap car challenge together. Let Derek and I know what you're doing, which event you're going to hit. We want to keep up with this stuff, right? I mean, like we want to know if you're going to go to 6 Smokies and you and another buddy have a challenge for the cheap car, and like you guys are going to watch your budget and all that kind of stuff. We want to know this. I don't think the cheap car challenge stuff is something a promoter wants to be in the middle of because it is hard. It is very, very hard. Several years ago, we did it. Red Hat Scotty with Questionable Performance Solutions came up with this idea: $1,200 car to come race the circuit 2023, and man, it was awesome. Nico Christoferi probably would have won it, but he didn't make it all the way to the track because he blew the motor on the way there because he was thrashing, and then just had to drive too fast for the car that was set up. But he took a $300 car, cut the tree out of the front bumper, and built it to come out. Now it's the white car that runs 1050s for him. The cage in it is from another car. They cut it out and welded it in. Like, this car is meant for this kind of stuff, We had a ton of fun with it. So do what they did. Go out, pick you a couple friends, and y'all put a budget together and do like what Cletus and them did. Start with $7,500. I mean, you don't have to spend that much, but start with $2,500. Then the next year at that same event, come out with another $2,500 budget increase. So now you've got a year to spend. Now you'll have $5,000 in something. Then the next year's another $2,500.
No, like I said, I like the idea. It definitely is more relatable.
Yeah.
See, and I've talked to the guys about this, and you're right. It's one of those things where you'd have to have a couple buddies involved with you. I am not a negotiator, so I'm going to blow through that budget really quick. Now, you put Doherty or Bo in charge of that, and those guys are going to be just fine. I'm not. I'm just not good at it.
Well, and the fun thing about a super cheap car is if you get the right platform and you have $2,500, let's say it's your first level of budget, right? If you get the right platform, by the time you get to $10,000, that car's pretty quick. It's not going to be quick at $2,500, I promise. But at $10,000, that car may be pretty quick because now you've had 3 years to grow and figure things out and gather parts. So I dig it, man. I think people should do that more often.
No, I agree. I like it. It definitely shook up the drag and drive community and the fans. A lot of people came out for it. I mean, again, being able to see it on a platform that's very identifiable like Cletus's does help.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I'm glad that he took a step back and said, okay, let's do something where it might be a little easier for us. We're not stressing about it as much. It allows us to interact with the people a little bit more. And again, it's more relatable. And if you consider the fact that when he started, that was what he did. He did it with a car that cost him, I think it was $5,000. It was a relatable deal. And I feel that's what people can kind of get on board with nowadays. Don't get me wrong. People still show up to big events because they want to see big numbers. That's what brings out fans. But there's also room for something where I can identify with that. That class makes sense to me. Those cars look familiar to me, that kind of thing.
Yep. And I think that's one thing, like that's mine and your job, right? Is to not only talk about the fast stuff, but also tell all the stories of everybody else. Like the folks that are making comments are like Jeff Mass. This is hilarious. He says the engine in the Valiant was $60 off Marketplace, right? Yeah. Like those cars have such a great story that I think we end up bringing people into the community because we're talking about it. And you do a great job of telling those stories. Anyway, sorry. Back to Six Summer. We got on the side. So what stuff did I miss by going home after day one? And I'll tell you this: if y'all had gone the other day, if y'all had gone to Cordova or not Tri-State. What was the other one? Yeah, Tri-State. If y'all had gone to those two on Tuesday, I'd have stayed, but I couldn't. It was the wrong direction.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like I said, we talked about it, and I'm glad that you and Eric were able to join us when you could. So we talked about Brian Goldstone. We can't not talk about the Deal Brothers. I mean, considering what they did, they set history.
Huge shout out to them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and they've been working at it too. They've been competing with that car since we started. They've been to every Six Summer. Considering that they were at Sick Week in much, much better weather conditions and didn't crack a 6. The best they ran, I think, was a 7:15. They had problems all week. They come out here and right from the get-go, all 6s. So you set 4 records. You set first car ever to run 6s in Super Street, first car ever to have a 6-second average, first car to ever run 6s all week, and it's brand new records on both ends of it as far as individual pass and a overall average. So they reset both of those. It was insane to watch them do it because it truly is a Herculean effort from those two. When they came out to Sick Week and they didn't do well, they went home, they ripped the car apart, they constantly go out and test. As a matter of fact, they were at Byron the day before we started running the MKE River Redemption race, and they won the streetcar class.
Mm-hmm.
So they were there beating on it early just to make sure that they had a tune-up and they had everything figured out.
Yeah, they did a great job, and they do a great job. They really are motivational, man. I'll tell you, it's inspiring to see them go out and do that. And for Sick Week, they had not planned to do Sick Week. That was their whole thing. They weren't going to do. They were going to skip it and come to Sick Summer.
Right.
And couldn't talk themselves into it. Showed up with a car that had been finished for just a few hours. I think some of the paint was still wet on it. So
no, it was. It literally had just gotten finished. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
So a couple of the other things that are interesting to talk about, Mark Arblaster, an Aussie who came out, and I never found out why, but his 80 Malibu ended up getting slotted into Unlimited. I don't know why. I'm not sure if it was a floor and firewall issue or if it was some kind of a combination issue or whatever, but day 0, he blows up the transmission, comes up to the tower, asks for a rebuilder. I said, "What's the phone number?" He goes, "I don't have a U.S. phone number." So it looked kind of dim for him, but considering that, unfortunately, we ended up losing Timothy Blythe, who unfortunately crashed at Tri-State. Thankfully, he's okay. And Nick Cryer, who ended up going out with, I think he spun a bearing after driving all the way back on day 4. So he was one pass away from finishing with his first time ever with that 33 Ford. It was a beautiful car. So Mark Arblaster with I think it was a 970 average ends up winning, which is a little scary, a little weird, but hey, I mean, he was very appreciative. You could tell he was tired too by the end of the week.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Those guys had it rough for sure.
So, modified was an interesting deal. Brother effort, Dan and Chris Hirsch, they have an orange 65 Mustang. It's been around for a while. We saw it at Sick Week 2022, and it actually did a huge wheel stand at Bradenton, and apparently I guess that was the catalyst for them to do a 2.5-year revamp on the car. It's still small block Ford, and it's twin turbo now, but it's on an aftermarket chassis and sitting real low. So it was in modified, and they just slowly crept up on their performance. They had not had it out yet. It ran an 813 best. It obviously has plenty more in the tank, but it was modified. That was the class that a lot of us expected Josh Davis and Devin Vanderhoof to win in, but unfortunately they didn't because they blew the top off on day number 1.
Yeah. Crazy.
And now that car is up for sale, which a little bit of a shock, but especially considering he started converting it to a coupe. He already has all the parts for it. Yeah. He already gutted all the convertible stuff out of it. I mean, he made the full tilt commitment to do it after owning that car as long as he has.
And then said, "I'm selling
it." He said, "Don't ask me what's next." So I'm respecting his wishes, but I have a feeling it's going to be interesting whenever it is.
It'll be fast. Very fast.
No doubt.
The wild part about that car is to make that swap, but also to be selling it in the middle of making the swap from convertible to hardtop.
Right, but it is going to get sold. He answered somebody I saw. It is going to get sold with the top on it, painted and ready as a roller. And as a matter of fact, I think there's 3 stages he would sell it in. I see how Rob said he's going big tire. If Devin Vanderhoof goes big tire, that would literally burn the internet down.
Oh yeah. Yeah, floppies on a Fox body head. I think that's where he's headed with it.
Yeah. One of the biggest classes besides Dial Your Own was stick shift. We had 31 entries in stick. That was pretty solid.
Man, when do we see stick shift split? When is there going to be like a fast half, slow half?
It's interesting you bring that up because that's something that when we have our next event, that our next 2 events that are coming don't have a separate like stick category. It's an all run, and we basically give out an award for each thing, but there's no separate class. One of the things I wanted to talk to Tom about, and I've started having conversations with some competitors, and I said, okay, there is a growing divide, especially in the stick shift community, not just drag and drive. But like, for example, the top 10 stick shift cars, and we're talking H patterns, no inlines, no clutchless, none of that stuff. You have to run, I want to say, like a 692 or something to get in the top 10 for an H pattern stick shift car. Now, granted, yes, nobody has done that in a drag and drive car yet. But like you said, there is a growing divide because the problem is you've got a bunch of cars that are 750 and quicker, but then as soon as you get to a diaphragm style clutch, it's mid to upper eights and slower. Yep. So the question becomes is what do you pick to become the deciding factor in something that has always had a very loose rule set, not just with us, but a lot of other drag and drives.
Oh, yeah.
And then how do you enforce it? Because if it's something where somebody has to crawl into the car constantly, it's like, okay, is the juice worth the squeeze or not?
Right. And you don't want to turn it into an index because you don't want like, because then it just becomes a 10-0 index. Because that was my thought. Like, do you split it at 10-0? But you can't, because then it becomes a 10-0 index race. And that's not what you want. You want these guys to be able to run it all out, but you don't want like a guy like Rich Guido at the same time to really, like if Jeremy Howell and Chris Fegley and those guys show up, like if they finish, they're in the front. But that's why stick shift racing is so great in drag and drive anyways, is because of the violence.
No, I agree. And like, for example, to try and wrap this up so I don't stay on the subject for too long, the biggest... Well, you did say you ramble, so I'm trying not to. One of the biggest things that I would say that you do run into is trying to have the same field of stick cars, as you mentioned, is difficult. Like, for example, when I announced Texas 2K earlier this year, there were a bunch of them at it, but then several broke. So by 2-3 months later, we still didn't see the number 1, number 3, and number 1 or number 2 and number 4 and number 5 and 6 came out. But as soon as people break and they're running pretty exotic stuff, or they're running stuff that isn't as readily available, then it becomes is a 9-second car going to win the stick shift class at this? And people are scared to show up because who they think is going to be there. That's where we're getting to. So I'm with you 100%. I feel like at some point it does need to be, for lack of a better way to say it, there does need to be something done with it. But I don't know if we're at that point yet. And I don't know if we want to have, similar to Cheap Car Challenge, if we want that level of scrutiny to be involved with a class day to day yet.
Yeah, that would be tough, especially for drag and drive. It's this really weird, it's so grassroots and for fun that you don't want to make it hard. Like our rule sets are pretty wide. A lot of stuff fits. It's really worked well for so long, but we are moving into the third decade of drag and drive now. It's time to, we may need to start looking at it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's one of those things where after Jeremy did what he did, and like you said, there's been a couple other people that have run in the 7s, and some of them have not done it in stick competition. Ironically, Jeremy Howell with Flat Fox did it in, I want to say, either Super Street or Modified at Hot Rod Drag Week, because they didn't have a stick class. They have a shootout on the last day, but they don't have a stick class.
Yep.
And I think that based on what his car has run in testing, you would think he'd be the first guy to run in the 6s, but I don't know. Are there builds that are going on by people because they know that, some of them don't have weight restrictions, some do. So I don't know. Anyway, the point is that it's a feel. The story from Six Summer for me was a feel good deal, because guy by the name of Bob Gruber, who they actually call Banger Bob, ended up winning the second year in a row. Yes. Now, for those people that forget, this is the same guy with Nick Larson from Streetcar Shenanigans Performance. Last year, they looked like they had a yard sale at Motion Raceworks. The entire car was apart in the parking lot. They never went to sleep, got it fixed, put it all back together, chewed a bearing or a rocker, one or the other, on day 3, I think, at Tri-State, and then ended up winning. And this year, because of how much they enjoy that, they brought a total of 9 cars just from that shop to participate in Six Summer. So it's awesome to see how somebody's success and them relaying how much fun they have can bring more people into the fold. But again, he's doing it with a Pro Charge small block Ford and a decently heavy car. I mean, it's not lightened by any stretch. It's a big car. So
yeah, and he's so fun to talk to. He's always having such a blast.
Oh, absolutely. So it was cool to see him win. And for me, being a kid that grew up with no junior dragsters, I always celebrated through what my dad did by winning. If you just want to watch pure elation, watch Nick Larson jump up and down when Bob makes a good pass. You don't even need to see the scoreboard to know it's a good pass if you can see what Nick Larson does.
Oh, man, yeah, Bob says 3,590 pounds.
Not a lightweight,
Husky. It's thick, boy.
Yep.
That's
so
awesome.
so he won second in a row. So did Ken Cuttle Jr., that beautiful turquoise 1970
love that
Chevelle
car.
and naturally aspirated small tire car with a full interior. That thing was in the 950s, 960s again. Just a gorgeous car, like a conventional headed big block Chevy. Nothing trick, and it just nice car that runs good. I mean, I think the only thing he changed from last year to this year is it had an open, clear scoop on it, probably for somewhat better air intake. But obviously, it slowed down compared to last year because of the air. But otherwise, gorgeous car.
Yeah, King Cuddles, man, what a cool car.
Now, Rowdy Radial. Let's talk about the fact that is really setting the bar. And Doug from Motion Raceworks and I have had a very funny yet spirited conversation about this. So let's go back a year. I know you are very well familiar with the Stark family.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about the fact that Tom and Blaine have been doing stick shift racing for quite a while on Rocky Mountain Race Week. And then Blaine comes out last year and takes the Motion Raceworks car, El Toro, and ends up winning Rowdy Radial at 16 years young. And it was one of those feel-good stories. I mean, he's holding the helmet. He's crying. He's honestly just so happy. And I think his father was on the same level as him.
Oh, yeah.
And when I had a chance to talk to Tom this year, he said, as much fun as I had with my kid riding shotgun, he goes, I am more excited or as excited to be in switching places.
Yeah.
So this year they gave up the seat to run the family station wagon. And for the second straight event, because they did it first at Mega Week, they ran an all 9-second week, including their personal best 966 to finish top 3 in stick shift, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So El Toro is vacant. It has nobody to drive it. So we then start hearing some things of, well, Brett LaSalle is going to be involved in it. And they put a new motor together. And it's got better heads. And it's going to come back to reset the record. But we don't hear who's going to drive it. Well, I knew that it went from somebody driving it to somebody not driving it to somebody driving it again. And that guy was Louis DeLeon, a Fuel Tech. So a guy who has run a 3.5 second in the 8th mile pro mod, probably not interested in a drag and drive car. You would be like, oh, yeah, sure. I get that. Yeah. The car makes almost 1,500 horsepower at the rear wheels on the dyno. And all of a sudden, he's excited and he wants to drive it now. So Brett LaSalle, for the first time ever, as far as I know, became the co-pilot, as we like to joke about with him and Jim Braun, Passions of Princess. So he rode shotgun for the entire week. And Lewis ran a 477 on the final day, averaged a 489, which reset Blaine's record of 513 from last year. And apparently, Lewis is considering building a drag and drive car now.
That's awesome. So, I knew once we get real racers involved over here, they're going to come. They're going to make that switch. They're going to end up with a car. And the crazy part for Blaine is like he couldn't. I mean, he was really most likely limited because he couldn't get on the brakes hard enough in El Toro to get. Correct. He couldn't go quicker. He couldn't post up a time slip quicker than 850.
Right.
In the quarter mile. So yeah, it was awesome to see him do that because I think he ran in the 4s a couple times. Blaine did a couple times and then couldn't turn them in. So that was interesting to see. Watching Lewis go down and do that, man, was freaking cool.
Yeah. Well, when you consider the fact that car was originally built in 8 days and it was never designed to go this quick, Doug finally realized, like, okay, this car needs some attention. Like, we need to do something with it. So right after they finished with Six Summer, it went to Matt Moore to get a complete upgraded cage put in it. So they're going to get all that finalized. And I don't know how fast they're going to make it, but I've been told that it's running the 7s before. And if Moore Race Chassis gets it back to them in time, that thing might actually make an appearance this year and shoot for something that doesn't start with a 7. That's what I've been told.
Wow. That's awesome. That is
considering that's car. A single turbo Coyote too. It's like nothing exotic. So
anybody can build it is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, it does have a better set of cams this time. And I think it has a set of ported heads, but otherwise it's still wearing a standard precision turbo on it. So it's not like it's cutting edge technology. And again, they're doing 1 team 60 foots on the small tire in the heat. That's a big deal. And I would not be surprised because I've seen people mention it if you consider the fact that Devin Vanderhoof and Josh ran, or actually Jordan Tuck ran the original record, but then Matt Moore got real close to it. He was within 100th of a second of it the next year at Sick Week.
Yeah.
And then both of them decided, let's put 275s back on it. Devin made the claim of when somebody gets close to or breaks the record, I'm going to put small tires back on it and I will come back. And I think it would be very interesting to see, again, another class where it is only limited by the tire. It harkens back to the original BF Goodrich, drag radial days, back when that tire really was inconsistent. You had to have it figured out.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. All right, what else we got? And then we got to get back to the circuit stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about Calvin Nelson winning Sick Week Freaks on his debut for his car. Rick Reimars from the Reimars family, they brought 6 cars out, and he ended up winning the Gassers Hot Rods Beatles category with a 1014 with his Willys. We talked about street race and street race 6 street race. The dial your own and the pro dial your owns were interesting. The dial your own I love just because of how close it was. After 2 days to have a top 10 spot, you needed to be 0.008 of a second or closer between your time slips.
Man, that's wild.
The final day, a guy with a 2020 model F-150 pickup truck, Robert Hill, who competed with us before, ended up being just 0.19 of a second apart, and that broke Dan Balk's 2-year run in that class. Dan was 19 thousandths 1 year, 13 thousandths last year, and this year he just fell off a little bit. So
yeah, and a little bit like he finished good, but it was like in the 040s or something, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then on the pro dial your own side, a guy by the name of Ken Zachman, who was 23 thousandths apart on his ET. On day 2, finished with 37 thousandths, which for an 8-second car is pretty solid.
That's what I was going to say. Like Pro DIY is 850 to 999. So folks that are out there, you need to understand these are fast cars.
Yeah, it's a little harder to duplicate them versus a slower car where traction doesn't become as big of a deal and what have you. But yeah, just insane performance. So he ended up winning. And he competed in 6 street race last year, so it was good to see him move into something where an 870, 880 car can be competitive because, again, it's just you versus you. So there's really not a whole lot. I mean, we've covered pretty much everything about the other thing that I did talk about was Mike Swindollin running Pro Street. He ran his personal best 844 in way to a 56 average. The Swindoll family always brings these 3 or 4 cars out. I think they had 4 this year. Considering that, once again, when we talk about nitrous, the fact that Lamar Swindell Jr.'s car on 275s and buggy springs went in the 750s in the quarter mile on nitrous, that there is still somebody out there swinging the bat at the 7-second range on the bottle, and that doesn't happen very much anymore.
No, it would be interesting to see if there could be a serious 850 nitrous contender. Because everything.
Randy Bellahar has been pretty good at it for the last few years. So, I mean, if you consider he's won Hot Rod Drag Week before, but again, the problem becomes you've seen it. The best comparison I could make would be, say, PDRA or Midwest Drag Series. If you decided you wanted to come out with a nitrous-only class, then what makes the most sense to fit into it? Do you index limit it somehow? Or is it a run what you brung on, say, small tires, because there's probably going to be more of them, and see what you can do? So
I don't know. That's a good point.
Yeah, but anyway, that is pretty much the meat and potatoes of it. It was an insane week. I wish that obviously we wouldn't have gotten the drizzle that we did at Cordova. It was shaping up to be a really good day, but again, sometimes Mother Nature wants to remind us she's in control. But I think that there will be some really good photos from Dominic D'Amato and Luke Newhoff as far as in the rain, because we drove in it on day 2, and then on day 3 there was a lot of it. So there was definitely some stuff that I saw. It's going to be interesting to see what ends up in the pages of Sick the Magazine.
Yeah, well, speaking of pages of Sick the Magazine, the circuit, I sent over an article today to him for some ink, which is kind of cool. We again appreciate you guys and the coverage. One that you wrote, of course, about the winners and kind of our struggle with Mother Nature over the weekend, and we appreciate anything y'all do. Obviously, Sick the Magazine. If people aren't subscribed, they need to go ahead and do that over there. I think I've been subscribed since the beginning, and my stack keeps getting deeper. So I appreciate what you guys do.
Nah, it's one of those things where I'm very thankful to have the opportunities. And you talked about it. There's there were originally 49 events this year. So it's getting to the point where we're very thankful that people are able to send over information like yourself and the East Coast Dragon Drive, a brand new Dragon Drive in New Brunswick, Canada, that just finished this past weekend. So, but nothing compares to having the on the spot reporting. So your report, Adam Dory's play-by-play that's going to come from Rocky Mountain Race Week, those are really going to play out well in the pages of next issue. That's the summer issue, and I can't wait to see it get all finished up. It'll have a lot of great event coverage. Luke told me it's probably going to be more event coverage ever for us this year, just because obviously the number of them keeps going up.
Yeah, I mean, dude, 12 in the month of June alone. So absolutely insane. All right, Derek, thank you very much. You guys, again, go follow Derek. He is the voice of Sigma Magazine over there. Web editor, writes articles daily. I mean, I don't know how much more I can pat you on the back about how awesome you are, but I'm sure there's a few things that you guys will hear his voice on all the live streams. Yeah, Derek Putnam, follow him, and then also follow Sigma Magazine.
Mike, I appreciate the time as always to talk about the SIG stuff. And again, thanks for all that you do with Dragon Drive Repeat. Hopefully look forward to seeing Eric back with you next week. And thanks for the time.
All right, buddy. Thanks again, man. We'll see you soon.
So have a good one.
All right, bye. All right. I want to say thanks to DeechWorks. Again, that segment brought to you by them. Again, code DDR10 for when you're looking for your next fuel system upgrade. Go hit them up, guys. We're running long here. I hope that's okay with Fro, because we're fixing to jump into some circuit stuff here real quick. Thank you for being our race car friends. Hit the share button as we're going in here, guys. We really can't do this without you. I love the support. Love the comments that are going on there on the side. Love keeping up with all that. Please tag us in anything you got. Tag the circuit if you haven't on your posts from events for the weekend. And then thank you to our sponsors. We appreciate all of them being a part of this program here. Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, DeechWorks, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, WAF Racing, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Change 3D, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. If you guys are trying to spend a little bit of money or just some shopping, jump over there and hit those guys up. And then, of course, the gentleman's agreement is simply this. I love doing this. Eric loves doing this. Fro loves sitting in on this. It works. Our agreement is that we're going to keep doing this. We just need you to hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're at. And I can't verify you do that, so that's kind of the agreement. I'm going to keep doing this. You do that, and we'll be on our way. We have crossed 100,000 followers finally. Sweet baby Jesus, that took absolutely forever, but now that we've crossed it, it's like growth is a little easier for some reason. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. So appreciate everybody. Let's jump into the WAF Racing segment here, where we're going to basically jump into the circuit 2025.
Have you ever wished you could fit your toolbox in the palm of your hand, or really needed that extra set of hands while making a jet change at the track? At WAF Racing, we specialize in designing and manufacturing top-tier automotive tools that are made strong to withstand travel, yet lightweight not to slow you down. Tested in-house and at the track by the team at WAF Racing, every part is made by racers for racers. From compact toolkits, carburetor top hats, or spark plug storage containers, our tools are precision engineered and manufactured in the USA. Made of the strongest materials, every piece strikes the perfect balance of durability and dependability. Maybe you need something custom just for you. We do that too. You need WAF Racing in the passenger seat for your next drag racing event. Head over to wafracing.com today to take your racing experience to the next level. WAF Racing. Design, build, race.
All right, let's talk about the circuit Dragon Drive. If you guys haven't heard, if you're under a rock, get ready. The circuit started in 2019. This is our 7th year to host this thing. Started 20 cars. It was $25 to enter, dude. What were we thinking? It was never going to be enough to do it with that. But early on, Jonathan Sumcipher told me I had to get involved in this lifestyle. And, of course, he was right, like everything else. So we started with it. I didn't even go on the first drive. How goofy is that? I met the guys all dropped their trucks and trailers at Mocan. They drove to Tulsa, Oklahoma to run within a test and tune. And I drove to Tulsa to meet them. Then I drove home, okay, like an idiot. Then I got up early the next morning and drove to Mocan to meet him because at that time we were running a single day shootout. So we had 3 sets of rules. Are you ready for this? We had the drag and drive rules and classes. We had fun runs, which lasted until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we had heads up classes that started at 3 p.m. So people would message and go, "Hey, what class should I be in?" And I would say, "For which part of the event?" What do you mean? What do you need? So it's pretty
God.
crazy. Yeah, so we were a little dumb back then, but the Circuit 2025, absolute blast. I want to give a huge shout out to Eric White, who drove down Thursday. This guy has 5,700 miles on his car. We talked about this earlier in the show, driving this month to drag and drive events. So 5,700 miles worth of running around. Big shout out to Jesse Fox, who was our official photographer from the event. He sent over 711 photos to use. So we're going to have that dropping beginning tomorrow. I wanted to go over this show first before I started dropping all those photos. So big shout out to Jesse and Eric, who took tons and tons of photos. Eric actually did a lot of our recording. So the videos you guys saw from day one were actually Eric creating like a vlog style video, which is our first to really kind of do. So I think we're going to try and mix in some of both. Like we usually like to tell a bigger story with the footage that we get, moving things around all the time. But the vlog, I think, worked really well. I think people enjoyed that based on the comments and viewership we saw on Facebook. Other photographers that were there, if you're looking for photos of your car, Melissa Morrow of Morrow Photography, Chris Hogan with Fodad Media, Kyle Merriman with Merriman Racing Photography, and then G-Man Creates, JD Grumman over there. Those last two were both at Tulsa, and then of course Chris Hogan came to Mocan and then to Tulsa as well. So, and then Melissa was with us all weekend, so it was pretty fun. Crazy weekend, dude. It really was wild. The Wednesday, okay, Thursday morning even, there was no real chance of rain in the forecast. It literally showed like 15% at most anytime throughout the day, right? So I thought, dude, this will be no big deal. It's going to be a spotty shower at best. It was not a spotty shower.
Well, and as much as we do these events, and as much as we've been around for a lot of these events, we always hear reports that there's going to be rain. We always know there's going to be spotty showers. We always know that there's going to be something that they throw at us that we've never seen before. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't think anybody expected the level of weather that you guys were dealing with on this particular, and that's been a thing this year. I mean, all of the drag and drive events have kind of been this way. There's been some adversity that you don't normally see. So I wouldn't expect any less from the circuit.
Yeah, we pushed back from early in the year to new dates in June. Ended up getting a scheduling conflict with Funny Car Chaos. I have to cancel a day of racing or create a drive day. I'll say it like that. And then that drive day turns into torrential rain, absolute crazy rain. I thought I had a good photo in here of it. Here's a good shot taken by Jesse Fox. Everybody just wet. But I think it added to it. I think it was afterwards. It was fun.
And we've jokingly talked about this. Bo's mentioned several times that his car's just not waterproof. A lot of these race cars aren't.
Right.
So you're not just getting the car wet. Like everything in the car is wet by the time you get to where you're going.
Yeah, floorboards, trunks, all that kind of stuff. And I want to shout out to Dave Maxon, who said, "Hey, there's going to be stuff in cars," and that there could potentially be rain come up to the track at Mocan, and he didn't want us to keep down. And then what really pushed us on Saturday, which we'll talk about in a second, was Jack Crawford saying, "Hey man, look, there's going to be water in floor seals, jams, trunks, all that kind of stuff. You're going to have water in the trunk." And so the rain, it was really crazy. So it rained really hard during the drive. We literally pulled into Galena, Kansas. I'm not even going to call it a sprinkle one time during the block party. The block party was crazy, man. We had like 250 cars come through town. Our 150 obviously being a big portion of that. Shut down the main street there of Galena, Kansas. Live music was going on at the Mexican restaurant. It was awesome. It was awesome to see.
And it's, again, it's one of those things where everybody who's in the event is gathered up in the streets. They're all talking to each other about what's going on. It was really nice to see everybody just get a chance to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know that once you get into this event, it's not going to be that way. You're not going to have that kind of time. You're not going to be able to do that. And that's one of the things Doherty talked about on the show the other night. You know, it was almost one of those things where it was just as nice to be able to do burnouts, to be able to hang out, to be able to have that block party. It was almost as nice to do that as it was to do the racing.
Yeah, and I appreciate him saying that, because when we really started talking about it, it was man, I was nervous because we were taking a day out of racing. Red Hat Scotty here says block party was great. Low voltage Brandon Hayes for burnout of the night. That is for sure. If you haven't seen our short over on YouTube, you need to go watch that. Man, that dude just laid it out. What was really cool is, like, typically when we go into a town and we do big burnouts like that, everybody hates it. That's a normie, you know. The wind was blowing in the correct direction that the people at the Mexican restaurant that were sitting and eating outside listening to live music were like, they were into it, man. They were like cheering people on and standing up, watching all the burnouts and all that kind of stuff. So it was really cool.
It was dinner and a show.
Yeah, it certainly was. And it was impromptu. We did not set that up. We may do that next time. We may set up some kind of burnout deal next time. The police were great. They never saw what we were doing. It was awesome.
You can tell that I always get nervous on stuff. I'm naturally a nervous person, and I always get nervous when the burnouts start.
Yeah.
And you could tell it was one of those things where they didn't necessarily turn a blind eye, but there definitely wasn't a whole lot of people on that side of town paying attention.
Yeah, that is for sure. Well, a couple things I do want to talk about. Jack Crawford fixed his transmission cooler, stacked 2 cheap O'Reilly's coolers together, and made it work, put his fan on it and all that kind of stuff. That ended up destroying a brake pad, and it was super hard for them to get. So they had to actually resurface it in the parking lot on the concrete to get the glazing off from transmission fluid being sprayed on it at temp. So that was kind of interesting. And then Jack stabbed himself in the wrist, and any other area around his wrist, and he probably would not have made it. So Crazy weekend for Jack Crawford. Crazy weekend. Changed the transmission cooler in the rain in a car wash, so that's always a plus. Red Hat Scotty had a great weekend. Him and his daughter raced the black car, which was really cool to see it back out and doing well. And anytime you have your kids with you, man, it's always fun. We had a lot of adult child teams. Dustin Peterson, another father-son team there. I mean, there was a lot of times where these regional events give the opportunity to bring the kids out, because it's not as long of a weekend. It's not a week long, super hot, all that kind of stuff. Because with the rain came cooler temps. So the block party had great weather. For no rain, we had a wall cloud that I thought was fixing to absolutely destroy us. Didn't do anything. Not even sprinkling. Didn't even think about it. But it hung out. We raised $460 through belt sander races, which is awesome, by Gearhead Curios. And then the valve cover races, we had people build valve covers to come out and do that to race. Ended up raising $460. Had the Pro Tree tournament put on by Camp Counselor Bob. It was really fun to do all that. So as we're leaving Galena, there's like no rain. Dude, we were like, okay, it may rain overnight, some big deal. Nope, rained 5 hours the next morning, from like 7 to noon. So rain is just, it hated me. It hated me, to be honest with you.
And you found a way, you persevered, you got through the problems that come along with this. And that's, again, that's something we've seen with a lot of events this year is there's been some adversity. There's been some difficulties.
Yeah.
I can't imagine sitting in your seat and trying to figure out how to get everything going in one direction with that much chaos going on behind you?
Well, I'll tell a quick story, and this will be quick, I promise. So Saturday morning, we're at the track. At 9 o'clock, I called the first driver meeting, or the night before, I said, "Hey, we're going to have a driver meeting at 8:30." Pushed it to 9, pushed it to 10 because it was still raining. Pushed it till we're going to meet whenever the rain's done. Okay. Well, that meant like 12:30. The track said they needed 2 hours. I guess it was 12 when it stopped raining. So we call a driver meeting at 12:30. In the driver meeting, it starts raining again, y'all. I'm not lying when I tell you, I just about right then, I literally just about gave up right then. I was over it, man. Because the sad part is, we could have, if the track had been, if the first track had been better prepared, maybe, or knew the plan going forward, we could have raced on Friday. So we would have had those passes. So like when Saturday come around, it's raining on me in the driver meeting, and Mocan had said they needed 2 hours after it stops. I was like, here we go. This is it. I'm going to go crawl under this rock over here, and I'm going to hide. I'm going to cry. I'm going to hide. So we ended the driver meeting, said, "Hey, we're going to race today." There's no, you could literally see the sun. It was just like 8 miles south of us. You could see it. It just stayed 8 miles south the whole time. So the track gets going. I'm talking to Carl. I'm talking to Keith Turk. Big shout out to Keith Turk for walking me through that. Talked to Matt Frost and Sean Fling. I mean, really, huge props to him, because he was a lot of the reasoning behind of gathering all that stuff for the weekend. So it's raining. The track feels like we're going to get a window of time. So we call another driver meeting back up. Hey, here's our choices. The options were, we're going to not count. The options were we can stay and race, and everybody count your times, because we're going to get passes today. That's what it was. We're getting passes. You can stay. Okay. If you leave now, you can take a 20, but you're still in. Just know that you're going to get a 20. So it's now 12:30. We're looking at 2:30. The racer party starts at 6. It's 3.5 hours back to Tulsa in a hot rod. So that's option one. Stay, go get it, get your driving route, get a 20 now, take it, leave it, whatever. Or option two, gather all of your people in your class and figure out if y'all want today to count or not. That was the two options. There's no way I could handle all of that. So if that's what you guys want to do that. Most folks chose option two, and I'm telling you, it was amazing to watch. Democracy in action is basically how it went, because all of these guys and girls gathered up in circles based on their classes, and they made decisions. So big shout out to 3 classes that chose to have their times counted on Saturday. 11.0 index, small tire, and tailgate wanted their times counted. One, those classes only had 5 or 6 people in each, so it was pretty easy. And then 2, it wasn't going to be hard to get them through the lanes. If you had decided to do that, we would have, it'd have probably been pretty interesting to try and figure out how to get all that done. But right. Shout out to them for getting that done. That opened the opportunity for people to leave. So at 3 o'clock, people have their cars switched back over to street mode. I send Melissa, hey, go as fast as you can to Broken Arrow lanes. Get ready for the racer party. People are coming. So she takes off down the interstate, 85 miles an hour, to go down and get the Broken Arrow lanes set up. 80% of people I guess probably only like 60% of people hit the road to start making their way back towards Broken Arrow. The rest of them, like 50 people, stayed and made passes. Because for a lot of these folks, and I didn't think about this till later, they had never made a pass at Mocan. And that's one of the biggest benefits to a drag and drive, is it gives you the opportunity to be at a new track, gives you a reason to be at a new track. Now you can make passes there. So for the folks that did a test and tune, awesome. For the folks that did their classes, man, it was great. Jan Haas made 7 passes during that time, ends up winning the 11.0 index class. It's pretty cool. So that gets...
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was going to move on, but you go ahead and tell.
No, you go ahead and move on.
Well, yeah, because we're running out of time. So that gets us through the end. We raced until 4:45. Again, big shout out to Mocan for letting us do all of that. And then everybody set off on their route. Melissa calls me at 6:40 and is like, don't panic. There's 3 people here. I was like, oh, I'm not panicked at all. They're coming. Just tell the people to stop cooking for a few minutes because they probably have enough food ready. So we fed everybody, but everybody started rolling in about 8 really hard. So that trip down Route 66, I think, was probably the most fun just because the route stops we had. We had the Blue Whale on the way back. We had Broken Arrow Lanes, obviously, and then Hot Rod Hangout, another stop through Galena. So we went back through Galena, Kansas on our way back towards Tulsa, Oklahoma. So it was pretty cool to do that. And we had a ton of fun. I ended up staying up too late on Saturday night. Not a good choice to go into Sunday with. I was a little dehydrated and my brain hurt. If you know what that means.
So now that you've kind of done this for as many years as you've done this, do you feel like you're getting better at this, or do you feel like this is kind of its own animal?
The hard part was like we had really, I mean, any other event we'd have called it.
Right.
But because we didn't have passes on Friday, I didn't want to not allow the racers to have that opportunity, right? Like that was the problem. I wanted people to race. Mocan wanted people to race. People wanted to race. So it was, how do we get that done? But when we were on the phone with Keith, he made a great point. He said, don't run these people till they can't do it, till they can't have any fun anymore. He's like, your event is about fun. Don't make it not fun by making them stay and hurting any kind of chance they'd have to be competitive in their class because now they've got to stay. Now they're, getting to the last route stop, which is Broken Arrow Lanes, which Roxanne Hurley had a great point. The route made you drive right by the host hotel on the way to Broken Arrow Lanes.
Nice.
She was like, you are a jackass to make people do that because they were tired by then, They'd had the stress of driving in the rain. They'd had the stress of 2 days on a drag and drive now and drive right on past that route past your hotel. So
right.
Anyways, I want to talk about some real quick stuff, and then we'll go over the last little bit here. So we get back to Tulsa. Everything's good to go. The first race is always a big deal for us at the circuit. It's always has been. It's what kicks off the event. We pushed the first race back from Saturday to Sunday because we wanted as many people there as possible. It is a grudge match between Dustin Cottle and Chris Paget. After Lance Walker couldn't make the call. Sadly, he put 3 motors in that truck trying to make the circuit, so he just couldn't quite get there. It is a way for us to raise money. It is a way for people to kind of wager and place some bets on their favorite racer. And in that race, we raised $1,150.
Good God.
Dude, it's awesome, man. It's so awesome to be able to let people have fun. I think there were like 50 or 60 people on the starting line. Everybody was having a good time. We had a medical emergency during the time, so it like extended it like 30 more minutes. Like it was pretty wild. So big shout out to them. Big, thank you to Dustin for being willing to do that. Thank you to Chris for being willing to do that. And then later on, well, from the night before, I found out about it at like 2 a.m. But later on, when the Group A ran, Brian Acton and Cody Walker had a race set up for a $1,000 donation to the Youth Services of Tulsa. But Cody got the hit and to start at the 60-foot. Cody had not made a single pass in his car yet. He should have used the test and tune on Saturday, but he didn't. He wanted to get back and start having fun at the bowling alley. But when Cody left, I don't even think it was close. Brian was on him by about the 600-foot mark, if not sooner, maybe 400-foot, and drove out of his life. So poor Cody writing a check this week to the Youth Services of Tulsa for $1,000.
That's gonna happen. I mean, you get involved in stuff like this, you're gonna wind up in situations like this. I know that certainly makes up for the fact that there wasn't a fat guy wearing short shorts in the middle of the track this week. So I thank everybody for that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, real quick, couple couple comments here. Where were we at?
Nice picture of Doherty and Stoney.
Yeah, right, at Clint Sadowski's place. So Tim Gurley said they saw it on Saturday, but thankfully I'm pretty sure everyone made it out without a ticket. Oh, talking about the burnouts.
Yep.
Rodney Reeves here. Big shout out to that guy. Appreciate you, Rodney, for doing the trophies here. Made it here before the end. We announced that Robert Voss is going to be getting this, and we're going to meet up in Tulsa in a few weeks. And then Jonathan Stonecipher, my wife brought her adult child along. Probably talking about himself.
Yes.
Pint-sized co-pilot for Red Hat Scotty, Sean Fling. It was so cool. I'm sure he's talking about everything. Absolutely everything. Being so cool. He's probably talking about the drag race between Chris and Dustin Cottle. Jeff Mass, we drove 7 hours. We were there to floor it. That's exactly right. I mean, everybody wants to make a pass. And then Rodney Reeves here. Thank you for the kind words, sir. You saved the course, and it was great, man. I appreciate you saying that. Thanks again to WAF Racing. I appreciate you, dude. Chris is a great dude. If you're needing some fun stuff for your car, he can do it. 3D printed stuff, a little bit of everything. He can get stuff done. Let's move on to the Performa built transmissions, and we'll wrap this show up. I'm sorry we're a little over. I told you I rambled with.
We're good.
Derek Putnam. Performa Built is the official transmission builder of Drag Driver Pete. At Performa Built, the goal is to engineer and build the toughest transmissions on the planet. Performa Built doesn't just rebuild transmissions, they systematically re-engineer each model to eliminate OEM flaws and to achieve the highest levels of performance. That is why they say our transmissions are not just built, they're Performa Built. I want to talk about the 668 Index. That was a ton of fun. Hey, let me talk about Waffle House first. Dude, I think we probably spent, there was $5,000 worth of Waffle House eating this weekend. I didn't pay all that, obviously, but there was a lot of Waffle House eating this last weekend because of the circuit racers.
Well, you're the only person who takes mostly sober people to Waffle House. So, I mean, it's an adventure every time you wind up at the Waffle House. And you want to stick around for every last detail you can stick around for in that place.
Yeah. This one here, I think there were 17 of us that took over this Waffle House in Webb City. Big shout out to Dominic for making this happen. There was actually a Waffle House in our host hotel parking lot, and we still drove 6 miles to eat at this one. So it was pretty awesome to do. Austin came over and had 6 people in the wagon with him. Dude, there had to be 1,200 pounds of men in the wagon, maybe more, as they were going through there. He was trying to do a burnout. It just wouldn't do it. So big shout out to everybody that came over to Waffle House and hung out with us. Late night snacks are always good, And we had already eaten dinner. So
what do you normally order?
Get a waffle. So if I'm eating food, I'm a sausage, egg, and cheese bowl guy with extra crispy hash browns and gravy. So
perfect.
Yeah. What do you usually get?
Hash browns covered in chili. Throw some jalapenos at it, some onions. I'm a big fan of the hash browns.
I'm not gonna do that at midnight.
Oh, I do because I don't care.
Yeah, the next morning would be vocal.
Price you pay.
Yeah.
Price you pay.
Mopar Nut here saying, what a great time. You guys killed it for all the adversity everybody went through. Well-run event. And big shout out to your wife and kids. Yeah, man. Melissa, I love you, babe. You were awesome. Your wife went above and beyond Saturday night late when we got back. 10 p.m. Sunday, your kids passing out water and tests. Yeah, I made them grab a cooler and go drive around and give people waters on Sunday because we had a weekend where it was in the 80s, and then Sunday it was 147 degrees outside with 300% humidity. So everybody was losing water very quickly, and those girls ran around on the golf cart all day just throwing waters at people, telling them to drink it. So it was pretty awesome. Waffle House, we got other stuff here. I just want to talk about $15,000 raised for the youth services of Tulsa. I can't say thank you enough for letting me be the catalyst that helped that become something. For folks that don't know, we donated a portion of each ticket sold to the shelter. to youth services. A portion of the shirts goes there. We did raffle tickets, raffle items, obviously donated by sponsors. We had the $1,075 from the Molly Motorsports deal, which was awesome. We had the $1,000 donation between Cody and Brian. We had the $1,155 between Dustin and Chris Paget. Like, it all added up. I mean, I don't have a final number. I was really hoping I could get time today to put all that math together, but it's somewhere like 15.3 or something like that based on my napkin math.
Can't believe you didn't have time to go ahead and knock that out today.
I didn't want to, man. To be honest, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But I will get it this week. We will make that announcement on Saturday. And then for anyone that wants to go, I'm inviting you. I don't have a date yet. I've got to get with Carolyn from Youth Services in Tulsa to figure out when we're going to do the check presentation. I'm going to have the old company I worked for print a big check. I want to go over. I want to present it to them. I want to give them the money. I want cool cars there. I want it to be kind of a whole thing. So we may do it, like a Friday afternoon or something like that, so we can have more people there with cool cars. This event has grown immensely, and we had more than 200 people sign up. 153 racers signed up, 12 road trippers. It's the first time to ever do that program, and that will definitely stay. And next year we won't be so frazzled when we get down, and parking will be better for all of our road trippers. I have a whole plan on how to do stuff, and we're already looking at tracks and trips and route stops and all that kind of stuff for 2026. So,
did the weather stop any of your road trippers?
No, they didn't care. It probably stopped some cool cars that were coming for road trip, but
Gotcha.
what we end up happening with the road trip is it was a lot of like. Travis Wise didn't have his truck ready, so he said, I'll just do the road trip deal. And so, he got good parking, he got into the tracks, he got his wristbands, all that kind of stuff. It just made it so much easier for those folks. And it was $150 compared to $300. So if drag racing isn't necessarily something you're worried about, sign up for the road trip. You get all the cool stuff, you get the event shirts and all that. So with only 12 cars though, I don't know if I can do custom t-shirts for that deal, but if we got upwards around 30, 40, 50, I would do custom shirts for the road trippers. They obviously got custom decals and things like that. That'll be cool as we move through the next few years. But just want big shout out to Brian Acton, 3-peat winner down there in the street race power rider class. I mean, it's crazy to do that 3 times. I'm looking at some bounty options for him and for Jim Parkinson in the small tire class, or whatever Jim wants to do. I'm looking for folks that are going to be hitters in the 8th mile stuff. I want some really fast 8th mile cars there. And then, of course, the quarter mile stuff, our street race power rider class is our quickest. Quarter mile typically, because like all motor big block could probably get there pretty close if you had a 850 big block car, but there's not many of those in drag and drive. So
Right.
Street race power riders probably are going to be our quickest class, but it's limited to 850. So if you got a John Paul Franks, if you've got a small block car, come out in all motor small block and take home that. Get your car on the front or on the back of the shirt next year. The event was insane. It was absolutely insane, dude. I can't explain it to everybody how wild it just absolutely was to see the racer parties. You got to understand, like this pre-party deal. Dude, she made enough for 250 plates, and she says at least 240 plates went out, maybe more. She said, because some people didn't take both tacos or some people didn't take all the beans. It was awesome. Big shout out to Los Cabos in Owasso. Big shout out to Broken Arrow Lanes in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Racer parties galore. Racer parties galore. That's one thing we do on this thing is eat, man. Waffle House, tacos, all the stuff. We had burgers and pizza at Broken Arrow Lanes.
Can't go wrong with any of that.
No. I think that's all my notes.
I was going to say, I've kind of been glancing back and forth in the notes. I think that just about covered everything you had that you wanted to cover. So
yeah. All right.
That's why I'm trying to stay quiet over here and let you run.
let me just ramble at the mouth. Well, again, thanks so much to Performer Built. Ryan and the team up there are freaking awesome. If you need a transmission built, hit them up. They definitely focus on GM stuff. 4L60s. He's put a 50s 300-pound wagon in the 9s that's twin turbo and makes all kinds of power on a 4L60. So get your mind right and do that same thing if you want to, or like me, be 4L80 stuff and have more fun. Again, thank you for being a race car friends. Thank you for being here. Fro, thank you, dude. You're like one of my best race car
Hey,
friends.
I feel like I don't contribute near as much as I should, but I do make a great plan B.
Yeah, you're pretty awesome tonight, man. I appreciate color commentary. Like I said before, it's awesome to have you here. And then again, thank you so much to our sponsors, man. We can't do this without them. So if you're trying to do some shopping, hit them up. Summit Racing, Deech Works, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, WAF Racing, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Chains 3D, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. Guys, find all those folks, and Eric and I will see you later. Fro will also see you on Gearhead Perspective podcast on Sunday nights live.
On Gearhead Perspective, hashtag hugs for Doherty.
Hugs for Doherty. All right, buddy. Later.
See ya.
How fun. Dude, thank you so much again. I appreciate it.